I'm alive. This is an update. I am still the same person, just minus the Justin Bieber haircut. And I have not been ignoring you. I would like to make that completely clear. I have a lot to say. I'm going to try to make this video as short as possible so that people will actually listen to it, and if you make it to the end of this video without going, oh my god, just stop talking, thank you so much, because this means a lot to me. At the beginning of the year, I made a video titled, I have conversion disorder, and I stated in this video that by the end of this year, by 2016, I will defeat my condition and I will be able to walk. And it is now 10 months later. We are reaching 2016, and I have gone from being in a walker to being in a wheelchair. So that's cool. This isn't just like a random, oh guys, look, my life's gotten suckier type of video. This video has a very big purpose. I have something I'd like to say. My name is Ivy Babbitt. I am 15, and I don't have conversion disorder. You're probably noticing that I look like a 13-year-old boy. I'm not wearing any makeup. I'm wearing a sweater, a cute one, but still a sweater. I look terrible. And to be honest, I've wanted to make this video for a while. I just didn't know when I was going to make it. I wanted to write a journal entry about it. I just never sat down and actually did it. And a few minutes ago, I was actually just changing out of my pretty dress that I was wearing today since it's Thanksgiving, and I was taking off my makeup, and I fell on the bathroom floor. And I live with 2 other boys, so that was a disgusting, horrendous experience that I know very well by now. And after I got up and I got dressed in my comfortable nighttime clothes, I broke down. And I was like, this isn't going to go on any longer. I'm going to do this. Also, another big reason is because I do have an upcoming neurologist appointment sometime in December. I don't know when, but soon. And she's going to watch this video. I'm not going to say who she is. Maybe it's not a she, maybe it's a he. It's a doctor. But I'm showing them this video, and I'm going to demand answers. Let's fast forward to 3 years ago, when I began middle school. This is right about when I started my I'm a scene kid phase, but Hot Topic is overpriced, and scene hair is surprisingly extremely hard to achieve. This is when the symptoms first started happening. Now, I'm not going to say that this is because I was depressed or whatever. I guess I was just going through that awkward teenager phase where I think life is just a giant black hole of nothingness. But anyways, I was a genuinely okay human being. I didn't hate my life. I didn't want to die. I was just a teenager starting middle school. This was my first experience with an actual gym class where you had to dress out and you had to run laps around a football field, and I thought that was crazy, but I loved it because I really loved running. I can't say I love running because I can't remember the last time I've actually walked, but running is fun. I wanted to be in the running club in the 5th grade, but for some reasons I didn't join. And I have been clumsy all my life. I've always ran into door frames, fell out of chairs, tripped, scraped my knees. My knees are so permanently scarred by now. But I went from being a particularly clumsy child to falling every single day. Every time I would run, I would fall. And it was just kind of like, maybe it's just because we have a really crappy football field and there was cracks everywhere, and so I was like, okay. The nurse was well aware of my many falls, and she herself has even stated that she could see over my 3 years in middle school how I progressively got worse and worse and worse. 7th grade came along, and I was still a normal teenager in middle school. There was nothing particularly strikingly terrible about my life, but things got much worse. By now, I was always walking during passing period. I would have one hand on the wall because I needed something to steady myself. In the beginning of the year, if I fell down on the floor, I could pretty much get myself up. But by the middle of the year, I needed somebody to help me up, or I would just sit on the floor for however long it took for someone to come across and find me. I was in gym class again, and I remember a lot of times our coach was really lazy, so she would just have us walk laps around the football field for the entire period. And you would think this would be a pretty normal task, but I have memories of walking with my friends, and by the time we would get back to the locker room, I would be in tears, and I would just collapse, and I would be having to pick up my legs to function. I was like, guys, this is really weird. I can't walk. It's just strange. My doctor, my primary care physician, was well aware of this. She had been well aware of it since, I guess, before I started 6th grade, when the symptoms first started showing, at least in my legs. My mom would take me to the doctor, and she would say, my daughter's legs are getting so weak. What's wrong? Something's wrong. And the doctor would... oh my God. It got so bad to a point where I finally, one day, in October of my 7th grade year, decided to go trick-or-treating with my younger brother. And we finally got her to actually do something about it. I want to say, I guess somewhat in the beginning of my 7th grade year, when I wanted to go trick-or-treating with my younger brother. So we did, and we went around for about 25 minutes until it got to a point where I collapsed in the middle of the sidewalk, and I was like, Dad, I can't get up, I can't walk, this is terrible. And he had to get the car and help me up and take me home, and my mom was just in tears. She was just freaking out because she had no idea what was wrong with me. I had not been diagnosed yet until a few days later. I finally went back to this primary care physician, and my mom demanded to get me looked at. She said, my daughter can't walk. Nothing's wrong with her. And she told me, get on the floor. So I got on the floor, and she said, now stand up. And I couldn't stand up. The doctor finally, begrudgingly, decided to send me straight to the hospital. Now, what she did probably has a lot to do with my diagnosis, and honestly, I could probably sue her, and I really... Here's what the doctor did. She said, okay, I'm going to write you a referral, you will take it straight to your school, and you will tell them that your symptoms have been progressing over the last month. You very quickly just found yourself unable to walk. Because if we told them that it had been happening over... Jesus. If we told... Dee, it's fine. If we told them that it had been happening over years, then they would see it as less important, and it would be months until I got into the hospital and actually looked at. But if we told them that it had been happening very quickly, then they would want to look at me right away, because I guess for some reason that would make it more important. So we went to the hospital, and I'm not going to talk much about this. I might make a separate video some other time. I don't really care about it. I was in the hospital for 3 days. They did every test they could possibly do, which is basically just a bunch of blood tests, some x-rays, and a full body MRI. They looked me head to toe, every single nerve, every single blood cell. And after 3 days, the doctor, my neurologist, finally comes into my room and says, she looks me straight in the eye and says, "There's absolutely nothing wrong with you." At this point, I was diagnosed with conversion disorder, which, if you don't know what that means, I'll just put a link to the video where I describe what it is, because this video is going to be super long anyways. And I remember the moment she told me that, I started crying, and I was so upset. My mom and my dad, they jumped up and they hugged each other, and they were like, "Oh my God, nothing's wrong with you. You're fine." And they were like, "You should not be upset." And when you think about it, it's really hard to explain to someone why I would so much rather have some sort of uncurable disease rather than conversion disorder, which you can get over. It's not curable, but it's something that can be overcome. My diagnosis is utter bullshit. And if anyone with any sort of medical experience wants to deny that, then they are complete idiots, because here's why. First of all, we went to the hospital and they had the impression that my condition had developed over a very short period of time, when in fact it had been developing, and it still is increasingly getting worse over 3 years. It's been 3 years. It was not a month. When they diagnosed me, they had the impression that I just woke up one day and was like, "Hey, I can't walk." That is a very big thing with conversion disorder. It has a very quick onset. Very rarely, or even at all, will you see someone who develops conversion disorder over a couple years. I've been hospitalized in psychiatric institutions 4 times. I have been through 3 counselors. In that entire period of time, every single one of them drew a blank. They said, "We can't figure out what's wrong. We absolutely cannot find a single reason why your daughter would have conversion disorder." Like I said earlier, I'm a pretty okay, normal person. I'm a little weird. I get really sad sometimes, but I'm happy. I like being alive. I had a really good childhood. I have amazing parents who I love with all my heart. I have friends. I am a little awkward, but I like meeting people. I like going places. And most of all, my self-esteem is okay. I have really good self-esteem to a point where I'm pretty conceited. I'm borderline narcissistic. I was never abused. I was never raped. Nothing bad ever happened, and conversion disorder forms around a trauma. I have 0 trauma. The very closest thing that we could ever think of that may have caused my conversion disorder, but very likely did not, was the fact that in the 5th grade, I began to develop incontinence. I was 10 years old, and I would spend half the day walking around with my jacket tied around my waist, trying to hide the fact that I had pissed my pants. And that was disgusting. I was like, what the heck? I'm not a baby. This is weird. We went to the urologist like twice, and they did like I don't even know what they did. It was so long ago. And they didn't have any reason as to why I could not hold my urine. And I remember having my teachers and my coaches have talked with me about how it's okay and I shouldn't be ashamed. And I had to grow up so quickly. I had doctors shoving tubes up my vagina and looking at all that shit and telling me about these pads that I need to use that 40-year-old women usually use because they've had babies, and it's okay for them, but I was 10, and I had the bladder of a 4-year-old. This is a major symptom that goes along with losing the ability to walk and incontinence. Those go hand in hand for so many conditions. I can't even begin to list them off the top of my head. But if you Google it, you will find so many. MS being my biggest guess. That's at the very top of my list. The doctors told me that they did absolutely everything, but that's not true. They have not done a spinal tap yet, and I know that there are many things that you can't diagnose unless you do a spinal tap. There are many things that you can find through a spinal tap that you can't find through a MRI. You can't find them in a blood test. Anyone who has ever met me knows that I hate needles. I cannot get a shot. I cannot get my blood taken. I can't even think about it without basically hyperventilating. And I have begged my mother and my doctor on multiple occasions to please order me a lumbar puncture. I have no idea why I would beg to have an extra long needle shoved down my spine just for fun, just because I'm faking it, just because, why not? I so desperately, want to know what's wrong with me. I would cut off my own arm if that would help them figure out what's wrong with me. Obviously it wouldn't, but I don't want a lumbar puncture. That sounds terrible, but I would do anything to know why I can't walk. Literally, the only reason they told me I have conversion disorder is because I can't walk. People with conversion disorder have a very similar set of symptoms. I have none of these symptoms except for the fact that I've lost the ability to use my legs. I have never had a seizure. I can talk fine. I have bad eyesight, but that's because of stigmatism. I can still swallow. I haven't gone deaf. These are all very common symptoms in basically every single case of conversion disorder. I have none of these symptoms. None. Basically, the doctors couldn't find anything, so they blew me off and said, it's conversion disorder. Deal with it. I have tried different types of canes. I've tried different types of walkers. I've done one of the ones where you have to lift them, and I have a rollator, which is still, it's nice, but it's not helping, obviously. My mom and my dad and my family, they cannot even begin to fathom why I am so insistent on finding out what's wrong with me and why I can't just accept conversion disorder. And the reason is because if I have conversion disorder, I can get better. But if somehow, and most likely, I don't have conversion disorder and there's something secretly wrong with me, it's kind of like, imagine, the cartoon of the person or whatever running on the treadmill and there's something in front of them on a street. And they're trying to get it and they just keep running and running, but they can't actually get it because it's just this endless loop. That's my entire life. By being told that I have conversion disorder, I'm told that I'll be able to walk again. Someday, I'll be able to drive. Someday I'll have kids. Someday I'll walk down the wedding aisle or whatever. I don't even know. Being in the chair isn't what depresses me. If I'm never going to be able to walk again, I just wouldn't be able to accept it. Some of the greatest people in history have achieved a miraculous amount of things, and they were in wheelchairs. They couldn't even walk. Stephen Hawking can barely even move his face, and just look at him. By being told that someday I'm going to be able to walk again, but not knowing if that's actually true, is just this huge load of false hope weighing down on me, and it's suffocating me, and I can't do it anymore. My cats know when I'm sad, so they can comfort me. I love them so much. You're so cute. I need to know what's wrong with me. I can't continue living being told all these lies. I can't continue living thinking, well, what if I know with all of my being and in my soul that I do not have conversion disorder. From the moment I was diagnosed, I knew I did not have conversion disorder. I knew that there was something wrong with me. I am in no means saying that conversion disorder isn't a real thing, because, okay, Archie, what? I'm sorry, that ruined the moment. Since I've been diagnosed, I have met so many amazing people through this channel, in real life, just many different ways, who have conversion disorder themselves. And I've learned so much about this condition, and it's so amazing. Had I never learned about it, I would have just disregarded it. I would have been like, that's weird, I don't understand. Completely biased to all the things I've already said. But anyways, conversion disorder is a real thing, and it's not a walk in the park. It's terrible. But conversion disorder is not the disease that I have. Something is wrong with me, and I'm being ignored. I was brushed off 3 years ago, and I'm going to show my neurologist this video. I know that it's very long, but I've given her 3 years, so I think she can give me 25 minutes of her time. I know that this video is very disorganized, and as I go back and I watch each little clip after clip, I have left out a couple of little chunks from my story, and eventually, hopefully soon, I will be able to provide you a more detailed, longer, organized, just written out story of what's going on. I do need to write it down. I would like to write it down so that I can more clearly get my thoughts across. As you can tell, I'm already I'm just running out of things to say, honestly. I have so much to say, and only so much attention span from the audience that you can take. I could ramble on for 3 hours if I really wanted to, but I know that no one's gonna listen to that. I think I'm just going to end this video by saying that I will say that I have a new goal for this new year. I'm a little early, but oh well. I would like to walk again, if it's at all possible. But my new goal is to figure out what's wrong with me. I will find out why I can't walk. I will demand to be looked at. I will speak as loud as I need to until I am no longer ignored. And until then, I promise I'm going to do a better job of keeping you updated. It was just so hard for me after posting that video of me saying I have conversion disorder. Every once in a while, I would get comments and notifications from people saying they would share their stories with me, and they would say, oh my god, I have conversion disorder too. This is amazing. And the fact that so many people were responding to my video, I felt so fake in a way, in a really weird way. I wanted to relate and say, this is hard, but we're going to get through this together. But it was so hard for me when I was just sitting here thinking, I don't have conversion disorder. But for the people out there, my audience, who do have conversion disorder, I'm going to be here for you. I'm going to fight along the way with you. I might not be going through the same thing, but in a way, I have been going through the same thing in a weird type of placebo effect type thing for the past 3 years. But I'm going to break out of it. And along the way, I'm going to be here for you. Because you've been here for me. And there's absolutely no way I could repay you for... My name is Ivy Babbitt. I am 15 years old. And I don't have conversion disorder. I am undiagnosed. This is my journey to finding out